Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to an unboxing for Railroad Inc. expansions. So I did a video previously on the two base games for Railroad Inc. And I will have done other videos for the several different dice expansions as well as the challenge expansions. What this does is it adds extra components that work with all the different games. So whether you own just the base games or you own the challenge games, either one, although you have to own one of those 4 games to be able to play. This just adds some extra cool bonuses to it. And it comes in one big pack, so you can buy all of it together. It was originally part of the Kickstarters when the challenge sets came out, and then now you can buy it separate. So it's kind of neat. So we're going to kind of just go through this. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on each different thing. Here this is mentioning solo board. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, the solo board was not part of this group expansion. It came as a separate piece. So I'm not really sure why it's listed in here. But what is neat though about it is you can look at this and basically figure out how to play this solo yourself. What it does is it adds this research lab, which is a little satellite, into the game. And you can see on the board here, it has it in like 1, 2, 3 different spots there. So you can always just draw them in those little spots as just a reminder. You can still play this even on any board, even if you don't want to. And then at the top, it has it marked up here, so you have, let's see if I can get a little bit better zoom in here. If it'll focus. Alright, so you can kind of see where they are on the board. As well as up at the very top, you see they have 6 different reroll pips, which are showing down here as well. So if you get 3 free rerolls, and then every time you draw through one of the laboratory spots, you mark off one of these, it gets you an extra free reroll. And then once you use them, you cross them off. So you can reroll any number of dice, whether it's a regular white die or it's one of the expansion dice. You just cross one of your things off to get it. So it's kind of neat. This is when you're using gold cards. Use the solo mode rules described on page 15 of the challenge games. So we'll have to get to look into this, see how to do that with gold cards. One of the coolest aspects of this pack is the giant board. So this is a 9x9 grid. So it just gives you a lot more space, a little bit bigger, a lot easier to play on, which is why I was looking for it. There's just a couple of different things. You take 4 route dice from any box, challenge or classic. A little bit longer rounds because they're a little bit bigger board. And unless the expansion shortens it, then it goes to 9 rounds. And if you use 2 expansions, you can drop it to 7. So it's another cool aspect of this bigger board is since you have more room, you can add multiple expansions together at the same time. Then there's a QR code here in case you have some issues with that. So let's take a look at one of these boards quick. Alright, so this is... We fold this out. This is one of the big epic boards here. So it's going to have all your information that you need. Marking off your points at the top, your exit routes, your different setups there. And in case you haven't watched the challenge video or you're not sure on that, this uses the same symbols as that, so it adds the factories, which lists right here, which means when you run through a factory, you get to draw that tile a second time. So if you drew a straight railroad, you get to draw an extra straight railroad. The universities, which you'll cross off on 3 little pips up here, which lets you use your free rerolls 3 extra times. So instead of only getting 3, you can use all 6 of them if you end up running through enough buildings. And then the little yellow ones, which are houses, or villages, or stations, they call them different things. Every time you run through there, you mark off one of these pips and you get more points. Yeah, so just a couple of extra things there which are really neat. And then on the bottom, it shows all your different dice sides as well, just in case you ever needed to know that. So that is your epic board. It's nice and big, has all your regular exits and all that stuff, has a couple more. Then if we flip to the other, sorry, that's the giant board. This is the epic board, which is an 11 by 11 board. And sorry for the glare in that corner there. But it's all the same stuff. Has even more tiles. Adds some mountain ranges, which you can't run through unless they have these dotted lines. So you can run a straight thing through there or a curved one through there. Also adds some more exits on the board here with these into these villages, which you can work like regular exits and go out. It's definitely neat, and it still has all your other stuff. Now, I like this because it's a bigger board, although even these tiles are probably just as small as the regular one, so it's probably even fine, but it gives you a little bit more epic. Plus, it adds the different squares and different spots, which are really fun, versus just being in the center. Now, also notice there's only 3 exits on each side here, but if we play on the regular giant side, there are 4 exits. So that is definitely neat there as well. When you're playing the epic side, there's a couple other changes. You're going to pick any of the dice from either box, and you're going to add 2 of the other dice. So you're going to have 6 dice total instead of 4. So you're going to get a lot more dice to use. 10 rounds. Can't draw on mountains. I explained that. And then the city routes. Other than that. Now, there's some extra thing here mentioning just like, this is any, just using different expansions, so it shortens the round. Cities and mountains and cities cannot be destroyed by an expansion effect, so you can't drop a meteor or run lava through them. Any kind of shape fits in there, so you can use rivers, super connectors, tentacles, airway routes to run through them. Elements occupied by whole spaces can't be shrunken into a dotted line. Elements that change the status can be drawn on a mountain, for example, electricity or weather. That's just other various things like trails can go over mountains. Like trees can be drawn in mountain spaces. Just different. Like, in the underground expansion can't be used because it's not designed for that big of a space. So I do want to do a comparison though. So this is one of the original boards from the base game. In comparing it to the giant size board. So you can get an idea of how actually much bigger it is. Now the squares themselves are, as you can kind of tell here, so there's left to right. You can kind of get an up to down. So they're a little bit bigger. They're not like super extra huge. This isn't like a gigantic play mode. But you can definitely see the size difference. As well as here, there's only 9 squares on the inside. Versus how many there? So this is a 9 by 9 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 by 7. So adding the extra 2 by 2 makes a huge difference. And then comparing it to the epic side. Now, these squares are... they're a little bit bigger still. So like we compare down here, so like the top to the bottom, just a tad bit bigger yet, which is nice. We are getting back into these 9 by 9s, but there's 3 of them. You still got your 3 exits on each side. But they add the extra other stuff in there and everything else. But yeah, you can tell just the size comparison on what you're getting when you're playing these. So if you really like the game and you wish it would last a little bit longer, you could add some more stuff. These boards might be worth picking up. And you get 4 of them in the pack, so you can have, play a 4-player game easily. Definitely cool. Alright. The other things we are going to get are goal cards. Now, if you had the challenge expansion, you've already had some of these for the base game, or for those games, for Lush Green and that. So they added some for some of the other expansions. So we have for the Portal set. So if you get because the Portal was originally part of the Kickstarter, was an expansion before it got added, I think, into the Eldritch set. So you have PA for Portal 1. So this is basically just saying, and this guide will actually tell you, go through and explain how all of these work, which is really fun. So if you have the portal set, you can add these extra gold cards which give you extra points. So this is saying having 3 spaces, having 3 portals on spaces with universities will score you various points. And I think the numbers at the bottom is supposed to be so if, like, I'm not actually 100% sure. 4, 2, and 1. It might be whoever has the most gets 4 points, then 2 points, then 1 point, and then the 4th player gets none. Is my guess is how that works, just off the top of my head. Yeah, so adding portals to universities gets you extra things. This one is creating a network that loops through matching portals. So having, like they're showing there, having A and A together. The other one says having 3 orthogonal portals, or left to right. So that's interesting. Then we have some for volcanoes. So we get the volcanoes. This is, or not volcanoes. Well, it's volcanoes, but it's lava. Have a route that loops around a volcano. We can have connect 2 exits through a space that has lava in it, and then we have lava destroy one of your routes. And I do like to show the little pictures there of it going around or going through one of the spaces. So it's definitely cool. Get some extra things there. If you have the meteorite set. And again, these are both for the base games because the challenge sets already came with their own gold cards if you want to add some for them. I don't know if the other expansions then add some. I'd have to check into that. I don't own them as of this video. But we have the meteorite. Create a meteor with routes on all 4 adjacent spaces. So you have spaces running through the meteor. Connect 2 craters with a route. And have a route destroyed by a crater. So again, we'll kind of see how those look. Just some extra different stuff. And then if you're playing with the others, we have the lakes. Have 2 exits connected through a lake. Have 4 lakes in the same row or column. Yep, this is kind of neat. Run 4 lakes together. And have a lake with no straight edges. So there's some examples there. Lake on either side, or have 4 lakes in a row up or down, and then have one with no straight edges, so you have to have all of them closed. Cool. And then finally we have the rivers. Have a river that crosses over the same, have a route that crosses over the same river twice. Have 3 stations, or have 3 stations orthogonally adjacent to river spaces. So orthogonally is up and down, left and right, rather than diagonal. And connect 2 exits to a route that goes over a river. So you have to have 1 exit on each side that go over a river. Have a bunch of, just kind of neat. So it gives you some, these are kind of fun to play, especially with the bigger boards, because you have more spaces to do these. But you can include these in the smaller games if you wanted to, but it lets you, gives you more options of stuff to do rather than just playing them. Maybe you might want to strategically play these to gain some extra points. And then I have the symbols on the back for all of them, which are really cool. They're different colors. The symbol is just for gold cards, but like the fact they're all different colors is really cool. Then the last thing we have for this set, this expansion pack, are the blueprint cards. So you can play a different starting condition by using blueprint cards. I got a giant glare there I was trying to get rid of. So there'll be little cards that make, basically what they're going to do is you add pre-existing symbols on the board. Could be extra roads, could be extra railroads, could be walls, which are just straight lines. Some of them will let you shorten the time of the game as well, just because of what they do. But you draw one card and everyone has the same thing, so it's not everybody getting a different board. But it does actually make it kind of neat because then, hey, I've played this game 10 times. Here, let's add something different. It just makes that a little bit different, challenging. So you're not always being able to do the exact same thing. Kind of the same way the expansion dice add in, where you're adding like the volcanoes, the lakes, the rivers, all that different stuff. Is it makes it so it's not, you trying to do the exact same game every single time. Routes touching walls are not considered errors, so you can run into a wall, that's fine. They're kind of like the borders, essentially, of the game. But they do not connect anything. You can have a railway touching a hallway if there's or a highway if there's a wall between them. Special buildings are not activated when drawing blueprint elements during setup. So you might not have time to draw something through it. You might lose ability to use some of them. If the expansion of blueprint round, it reduces your duration to 5 rounds. Don't use blueprints that have walls while playing with any of the following expansions: trails, canyons, tentacles, or lava. And don't use blueprints with a standalone variant of Underground. If you play a double board version, don't use any blueprint elements to the Underground board. But yeah, you can also use them with the regular game as well. So let's take a look at those quick. So we're going to have Hollywood. Get a little zoomy up on this. So now here's the only thing is these are going to show on the Epic board side. No, this is the giant board. This is a regular board size. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. So yes, if you're trying to play with the giant board or the Epic board, they're not going to work exactly right because they're not meant for that size board. So you might just have to adjust as long as everyone puts them in the same spot. So if you're playing with the Epic board, you can just be like, okay, it has to be in the either one square outside of the middle or one square to the outside, as long as everyone puts in the same thing. What's kind of neat though, starting with a bunch of highways and railroads right off the bat. On the flip side, we have Baltimore. So it's kind of neat. We got a bunch of extra trains and some walls. We got Beijing. Has a wall pattern right there, so it kind of covers up your middle spot. Berlin, which this one's really interesting because it adds a straight wall right through the middle, so now you can't even connect the top and the bottom. Venice. And Cairo. It's like a pyramid. Tokyo here. With all these like roundabouts in there, that's crazy. Trying to connect some of those things together. And Istanbul. We have Singapore. This is kind of neat because it has 4 of the exits blocked, so you can't even use them. But it starts with some divided roads. And then Madrid, which adds some corners and kills the 4 corners. Milan, which has a bunch of interconnecting stuff in the middle. And Sydney, a little bit of everything, some curves, some crossovers. New York just has some squares in there. And Paris, which has a giant square roundabout with some walls. I like that they're all very different from each other. Monaco. New Delhi. I like this one too, Rome. A big giant super highway right down the middle. It's also funny because the bottom on top here are railroads, and you have a road going, and then this is road with a railroad going. So you have to somehow still convert them. And then Athens. Just has some squares around the outside, so you can go in and play around, but you can't hit it from there. Yeah, so that's the different challenge cards. There's a bunch of different ones to add some interesting things. Alright, so that's Railroad Inc. expansion. So yeah, the giant board definitely could add some more fun. Little bit bigger squares, but not like so super big that should be that in itself should be a deciding factor. But adding more things lets you play your game a little bit longer. If you feel like it's running out too long, the Epic board will do the same thing. Yep, the challenge cards are really cool, especially if you have them for the challenge games. They add some more ones for the other modes. Blueprint cards, cool. I would actually love to see maybe I don't even know if they're making any more add-ons to this or not, but I would love to see add-ons for the blueprint cards that use some of the expansions, which would be kind of neat. Like you have some that have like a pre-existing lake or a pre-existing river, or maybe like some lava somewhere, or maybe like some of the portals already built in. Some of that stuff I think would be kind of neat as well. Just like instead of just the railroads or walls, add some of the pre-existing pre-existing conditions in there. That'd be kind of cool. Like that you then have to work around. Like you have to work around lava already being on the board somewhere, or you have to work around the lakes or rivers, already having lakes or rivers on there that you then have to connect to or work around. That would be kind of a neat extra expansion. I know that lots of games don't do that. They don't like to make expansions for expansions. Basically, they're saying like this is a rare exception because it was with a Kickstarter originally. So they're assuming you bought the Kickstarter, you probably already own this stuff. But yeah, that I'm that type of gamer. I would love to see more content that works with the expansion content, because it makes my expansions even better. But there we go. So yeah, if you're interested in Railroad Inc. and you want some extra additional stuff, there we go. Alright, see you guys in the next videos. Bye.